Statistics Chapter 1. Statistics is the science of collecting, organizing, summarizing, and analyzing information to draw conclusions. Collecting data. I could ask my students how many credit hours they're taking. With statistics, you can present the data, make a chart, perform calculations, like find the average number of credit hours. Analyze the data. For example, compare the number of credit hours that students in DeSoto Center are enrolled in versus the number of hours that Senatobia students are enrolled in. The population means the entire group. A census collects data from a population. A sample is part of the group, and a survey collects data from a sample. Why do a survey instead of a census? A survey is only collecting data from a sample, so it's not everybody, but we can't always collect data from everyone. A parameter is a numerical measurement of a population, which is the whole group. A statistic is a numerical measurement of a sample, which is part of the whole group. If your group is a population, that means it's whole. And when you collect observations, you're doing a census. The measurement that you collect is called a parameter. If your group is a sample, that means part. And you're doing a survey when you collect observations. And your measurement is a sample. Statistic or parameter. Currently, 42% of the governors of all 50 states are Democrats. This is a parameter because it says all 50. The 50 states is implied that it's all 50. Statistic or parameter. A sample of 520 Americans is selected, and the average amount of time watching TV is 4.6 hours per day. This is a statistic because it said it came from a sample. Data can be quantitative or qualitative. Quantitative means a quantity, you have an amount of something. For example, how many classes you're taking. How much do you spend on groceries? How many kids do you have? Qualitative is a descriptive or a category. For example, eye color, what brand of phone you have, like do you have an iPhone? Do you have a Samsung? College classification, freshman, sophomore. Quantitative can be discrete or continuous. Discrete is counting numbers only. Count the number of desks in a room. How many students are in a class? How many patients are on a floor? Continuous includes decimals or fractions. How many ounces of Dr. Pepper that I drink? Speed time for a runner. Okay, these are things that you can have part. It doesn't have to be whole numbers. How much money you have, because dollars can be broken down into parts. Discrete or continuous. In a survey of 1,000 adults, it's found that 39% of them have guns. This is discrete because we're counting the number of people. Discrete or continuous. The amount of gas that I put in my car yesterday was 12.27 gallons. This is continuous because you can have decimals. You don't have to put in a whole gallon. You can put in part. How can we use statistics? We can use past data to predict the future. For example, you can track a hurricane and predict where it will go. Also, to determine the effectiveness of something. Does a new drug work? A pharmaceutical company has to do these tests. Design of experiments. Observational studies. You measure things that are already happening. You don't interfere, you just observe. An experiment, you apply a treatment and observe effects. You do something and see what happens. Placebo effect. A person getting a sugar pill instead of the actual drug thinks they're cured. A blind study, a person doesn't know if they're getting the placebo or a drug. A double-blind study, doctors do not know if they're getting a placebo or a drug. The doctors don't know if the patients are getting the placebo or the drug. Confounding error, the effect of two or more variables cannot be distinguished. Okay, so an observation, you don't do anything, you just watch. Experiment, you do something and see what happens. Placebo effect is you think that your headaches are better because they told you you're taking medicine for headaches. Okay, a confounding error means something happens but you don't know why it's happening. Sampling types. Random means no set way, there's no pattern. This can also be called simple random. Systematic, every kth. What that means is you decide to quality check every 10th item produced in a warehouse. You pick a number and you test that same number each time. Convenience, which is easy. Your teacher asks you to gather data on how many people watch The Voice. And so you would probably ask your friends, your family, or you could poll people on social media. Convenient was easy. Stratified sampling means you take things and break them into groups, and you take some from all groups. For example, you break students down into what campus they attend. DeSoto, main campus, online only, Oxford Center, Olive Branch Center. The groups are the campus, and then you ask some students from each group, and each group is the campus. Cluster means to take all from some groups. So you break things into groups, but you only take some of the groups. Okay, so we're going to break students down into the campus again. The groups are the campus. Then you ask all students from some of the groups. For example, you ask each student from the DeSoto Center to complete a survey. Different levels of measurement. Nominal means a name or category only. For example, what type of phone you have, your eye color, what city you live in. There's no way to order them from least to best or lowest to highest. Ordinal means ordinal matters, but it's not a quantity. For example, you rank your teachers on a scale of 1 to 10, or what grade level somebody is in. Second grade is higher than first grade. Interval means the difference in numbers matters, but 0 does not mean zero quantity. For example, temperature. 50 degrees is 10 degrees warmer than 40 degrees. But 0 degrees does not mean there's not a temperature. Okay, so if you subtract the two numbers, like 50 degrees minus 10, you get 40. It is 10 degrees warmer, but 0 doesn't mean you don't have a temperature. Ratio means you have a quantity and the fraction is meaningful. What that means is a 10-pound fish weighs more than a 5-pound fish. If you take 10 divided by 5, you get 2. The 2 means the 10-pound fish is twice as heavy, 2 times as heavy. That's the end of this lesson.